very warm welcome to our parents, friends, and grandparents who are joining us today. We are so proud of our Class 6 students, and we are thrilled to celebrate their talents and voices in this cross-curricular medieval celebration. At the core of the Marymount mission is our commitment to empower each student to discover her own voice and to find confidence in that voice to challenge, shape, and change the world. Even in this very unique year, we are delighted that our Class 6 girls have been able to explore the richness of their medieval studies during their history, language arts, and visual arts classes. The students studied the medieval period in history and focused on 3 main treasured narratives in their language arts unit, including the Canterbury Tales, Robin Hood, and King Arthur. Today, they will present original monologues, speeches, and scenes based on their own creative interpretation of these stories. Some are set in the medieval times, and some are adapted into present day. You will see the visual and performing arts program in action through their beautiful individualized coat of arms and strong public speaking and acting skills. The medieval celebration is the first of 3 interdisciplinary units during their years in the upper middle school. We're so proud of our girls. We are thrilled to give you a glimpse into the dynamic curricular work which fills our days at Marymount. Let the celebration begin.
Hello and welcome to the Class 6 Medieval Festival. Since January, Class 6 has been traveling through the Middle Ages, throughout both Asia and Europe, in our history, English, and art classes.
With the help of Miss Winch, Dr. Collins, Mr. Betts, and Mr. Smith, we work to make our medieval academic studies come to life. In history and English class, our cohort worked in teams to write original scripts analyzing Geoffrey Chaucer's The Canterbury Tales. Today, we will show you our original scenes, monologues, adaptations, and analysis come to life in our very own Marymount stage. We are so proud to have written all the words you are about to hear.
With Miss McCormick, we considered symbols and images that are meaningful to our personal identity, and each illustrated a personal coat of arms that will be shown throughout our video production.
During these challenging days, we are grateful for the opportunity to perform, learn, and safely have fun with one another. So sit back, relax, and enjoy our never-before-seen medieval celebration.
Despite its admittingly banal and somewhat dull title, The Canterbury Tales is truly a piece of divine literature. I don't exactly care, because I'm not an English teacher, but still, I know a good book when I see one. The real eye-opener, though, or at least in my opinion, is the historical accuracy behind the Canterbury Tales, specifically in the Wife of Bath's tale. Don't get me wrong, not all of the Wife of Bath's tale is true. Old women can't make themselves young, and dancing ladies don't just disappear. Or at least they think. But some of the Wife of Bath's tale is true. One of the big historical truths demonstrated in the story is the social structure of the medieval times and how they interact. You had the monarch, the big man on campus, or in this case, the big woman on campus. They had complete and total power over their subjects. In the beginning of the Middle Ages, monarchs could deal out whatever punishment they want, including capital punishment, whenever they wanted. Excessive retribution was a big thing in the medieval times, which was another aspect of medieval life that the Wife of Bath still encompassed pretty well. A very common punishment was death, and monarchs could take lives whenever they wanted. Below the monarchs, you have the nobles, the lords and ladies. They come into play in the Wife of Bath's tales as well during the scene in which the knight and the old woman present their answer on what women most desire. Lower than nobles were knights, which was the class that our main character, the knight, was a part of. They follow a system of values called chivalry, another thing that was mentioned in the Wife of Bath's tale. Our knight was not quite chivalrous, something that the old lady points out, not by name but by reference. Also, even if the old lady didn't draw attention to it, it's pretty obvious that our knight has no respect for women. And below knights, we have peasants, or poor people. In medieval times, peasants often had simple jobs like shopkeeper or farmer. They were treated poorly by those in higher social classes, which is another aspect of medieval life that was encompassed in the Wife of Bath tale. The knight bossed around the old lady and criticized her because of her social status. The knight would have never insulted a monarch because if he did, he could be killed. It's because of a peasant's lack of power that makes them such great targets. Thanks, Chaucer, for teaching us so much about history. And guess what? There's more. Here's some additional historical tidbits from the Wife of Bath's tale. First off, in the book, there are a lot of Christian references. This is because, in medieval times, most everybody in Europe was Christian, meaning everyone believed in and worshipped Jesus. Speaking of Jesus, when the old lady made her impressive speech and defended her dignity, she made the excellent point of how Jesus himself was poor, so she shouldn't be demoted just because of her social status. This is not only a very convincing argument, but it's also historically accurate. Another interesting tidbit is that the person that the old lady quotes, Florence Dante, full name Dante Alighieri, was an actual established person. Born in 1265, Dante was a Christian poet, writer, and philosopher. He said some wise words, like the words that the old woman quotes. Of men who climb their family trees for glory, few will excel, for it is by God's grace we gain nobility, and not by race. And this sums up a possible theme of the story, that your social status doesn't define who you are, and that even if you're born unprivileged, it doesn't mean that you're not smart, loyal, and kind, and vice versa. Once again, though, it's not like I care. I'm not an English teacher. And that's it. I'm done, but I've barely skimmed the surface of the Wife of Bath's tale. And with help of my colleagues, actors, and screenwriters, by the end of today, you will discover so much more about this incredible story.
Okay, class, welcome back to history. Today I'll be explaining the historical background of the Wife of Bath's tale.
Excuse me, this is English class and I'm the English teacher, so it's my job to explain the Wife of the Bath's tale. Class, as we are reading the Wife of the Bath's tale, it's important to recognize the literary background.
Hold your horses, why can't we discuss the historical background?
I thought we were discussing the English background because it's more significant.
More significant, who told you that?
How could you understand the story without learning about the themes, character development, and message? Here, I'm going to take you on an English adventure. A major theme of this story is analyzing stereotypical gender roles. Without considering them, the story could lose its value.
Okay, well, the story could lose its importance without the historical aspects, too.
I'm not done yet. As I was saying, there wouldn't be a plot without the themes. In the beginning of the Wife of the Bath's tale, we know that a knight is on a quest to find what women want the most. With the help of an old lady, he comes to the conclusion that women want sovereignty. One man can't speak for all women. This is where the theme of gender role comes into play.
Thanks, but it's my turn. The historical parts of the story are what make it so interesting. For example, when the knight went to court, the queen was the person that got to decide whether he got to live or die. Peasants were the lowest on the social hierarchy and were of little importance, especially to the government, which is why they are left out of this story.
How about character development? That's a huge part of the story and has nothing to do with the historical background.
Actually, you're incorrect. History certainly connects to the character development of the knight. Chivalry is a word meaning a knight's code of honor, one that the knight in our story wasn't following. Being chivalrous as a knight means being loyal and respectful towards women. The knight wasn't following his code of honor, but at the end of the story, when he lets his wife have the decision of how their relationship will go on, he performed an act of chivalry. So yes, the historical parts of the story connect to the theme.
Congratulations, you found the smallest bit of historical background. But one of the most important aspects of the story is its moral. The moral of the Wife of the Bath's tale is that inner beauty is more important than outer beauty. The wife promises the knight to never displease him in all of her life, despite her looks. The knight gives her the choice of how the relationship will continue, because he thinks women want sovereignty. He gives her the power of either ending or continuing the relationship. This is where the theme of gender role comes into play, which I was explaining to you before you interrupted me.
Okay, I admit I shouldn't have interrupted you.
You did it again. Anyway, my whole point about telling you about the moral was for you to realize it was a big part of the story and has nothing to do with the historical aspects.
Okay, can we leave now?
Yes, but what aspect of the story do you think is most important?
I'm sorry, were we supposed to be listening?
Class dismissed.
Once there was a knight who by the queen's word was assigned a task, a quite difficult one in his eyes. The knight had to find what we women wanted most, what we longed for, and if he did not do so, he would be slain. So off he went in search of an answer, stumbling upon a few beautiful, young, and fair ladies dancing, very opposite to me. I like to sit around these women. Seeing them dance and be happy together reminded me of what joy I used to have as a child. When the knight tried to approach them, they all disappeared. All that was left was me, a woman in search of a husband. Sitting there on the green, I was reminiscing on how beautiful and young I used to be. Back when I was younger, I used to dream of falling in love, always wishing that a strong, noble knight would fall in love with me and we would live happily together. But woe is me, not a single worthy knight laid his eyes on me, and such time passed that I decided to keep my appearance old. I decided I would not be fair and young until a man learned to love my other features rather than just my looks. True love is not a fairy tale, but a burden when trying to find it. As I was brought back to reality, I rose to greet the knight. I greeted Sir Knight and asked him what he was in search of, stating I would help him if he granted me one wish in return. As I suspected, the knight agreed to this proposal and told me of how he would be executed if he did not complete his quest. I whispered in his ear the answer. I told him women wanted sovereignty and wanted to have power. I wanted power over people for a long time. If I could make them see me as more than an old, ugly woman, to see the beauty in me, my loyalty, and my love. The knight and I traveled back to the court, surrounded by widows, damsels, and noble wives. It was my first time, and although I was nervous, I was thrilled, because today was the day I would present my wish to the knight. It was time to give his answer to Her Royal Majesty. The knight launched into a speech and said that women wanted sovereignty, power over their husbands, loved ones, and all others. I was quite impressed at his wording, because he explained it perfectly. After these words left his mouth, wives, widows, and maidens began to agree with him, saying his life was worthy. I took this as my chance to speak, and off I went, telling the court of how I saved the knight's life, and how he had made an oath to grant me one wish if it was in his power. This was finally my chance to find my knight to fall in love, and so I told him I would become his wife. The knight pleads for me to choose another wish, but my mind was set. At this, the knight is taken aback and says I could never be his love. Am I that awful? Is it that horrible to be my husband? Nonetheless, I would become the wife of this knight, for he has yet to fulfill his promise. The next day we were wed, and although I was happy, my husband was not, and he was hiding. It hurt me to see him this way, but I knew he would adapt and love me one day. But for weeks he refused to even look at me. I decided to do what would make him the happiest man alive, and asked him a question. I asked him to choose that I be old and ugly till I die, but humble and faithful, or that I be young and fair, but not loyal. With a sigh, my loving husband left me to make the decision, giving me the mastery. Yes, he didn't choose looks and let me choose my own fate. With that, I told him to turn and kiss me, and when he did, I was a beautiful, fair, and young wife, whom he could love forever and ever.
A scared and lonely knight turns to face homeward. His quest failed. He wonders aloud to himself as he begins his long and treacherous walk back, wishing for the days he was a squire again.
But what do women want? Surely there must be something that they all have in common. A new dress, some pretty dishes, a clean house, husband like me. How should I know? I'm not one of them.
As the knight walks along, he notices ladies dancing in a field far away.
If any women are to know what they want, it must be a young and beautiful one, and they will be sure to tell me. After all, I am a very handsome knight.
As the knight approaches, the dancing ladies disappear,
until only an old peasant woman remains.
What can I help you with, young knight?
I require some advice about women, but I don't think you could give it to me. You're only an old peasant woman after all.
Alas, why not? I know all there is to know about women. I am one after all.
Yes, I suppose you are. A woman is a woman, even if they are old and poor. Would you be willing to make a deal if you could tell me what it is that all women want? What is the one thing that your kind most desire? I've been sent by the queen of the land to find out what your kind desire most. If I do not give her my answer, I'm surely dead. If you can help me, I will pay you with whatever you desire most.
Whatever I most desire. Are you sure of this?
Yes, whatever you most desire, so long as it is in my grasp. I give you my word, knight's honor.
In that case, young knight, I will tell you what it is that I believe all women want the most. But first, I must tell you that there is not one thing that women as a whole all desire. Just as all men do not wish for the same thing, they don't all want the same job or to be knights. Well, maybe they do, but that's not my point. Not all men want the same wife. Some women might wish for nothing more or less than what they already possess, while others spend their time praying for a better life, and others still desperately desire gratitude or thanks for what they've done. Less work, to have power over their husbands. We might wish for any number of things most greatly, to find a husband and be wed, to live in a castle atop a hill. It is because of this that I must say,
Yes, what must you say?
What I must say is that the one thing that all earthly women want the most is to have sovereignty over their own lives. We do not need men to have control over them. That is what I have to say. I do hope you've listened.
It'd been days, weeks, years. At this point, who knows? I certainly didn't. I'd replaced my clock with a mirror, so all I knew was that I was stuck in the forest until I could find out what women wanted most. Why was I, a knight of such high status, stuck on such a pointless quest? Well, I'll tell you. I'd said something that may or may not have been sexist, and the queen was furious with me, so she banished me until I could find out what one wanted. Unfair, right? On her opinion. Anyway, I'd been searching for ages, and the only thing I could find was this really good bakery that sold cheese inside of bread. Can you imagine? Either way, I was getting nowhere, so I decided to rest in a small town on the edge of the path. While I was in the forest near said town, I saw a group of dancing women, and since they were women, they probably knew what they wanted. And my knightly charm couldn't hurt my chance of finding out either. So I followed them, and then they just disappeared. Fastest ghosting ever. But in their place sat an old woman whose face looked like a sun-dried grape. She too was a woman, so I asked her what they wanted, and her being the trickster grandma figure she was, told me that she could tell me in exchange for a favor. Obviously, I accepted, not knowing what my haste would cost me. Then we went on our way. The way back to the castle was dreadfully boring. She tried to strike up a conversation about knitting, but I ignored her and started to hum along to my favorite lyre jam. After a couple more days of traveling, we arrived at the castle. I was expecting a fanfare to play my armor with a large feast commemorating my long-awaited return. But when I arrived, the castle was mostly empty and the queen did not look like she was in the mood to see me. Me and the old lady bowed down as per the social norm, and I presented the grandma and explained our deal. The queen motioned for her to come forth and tell her the answer. As asked, the old lady came forward and told her that all women wanted sovereignty. For a moment, I was confused, and then it hit me. All the women wanted to be men. It was so obvious. How did I not see it before? We are clearly the superior sex. The queen smiled and nodded her head in sympathy. I would live! Alright, did I forget to mention my life was on the line? Whoops. After meeting with the queen, I asked the old lady what she wanted in return. Obviously, my dashing looks and charming personality got into her because she wanted to marry me. I begged the queen to let me say no, but sadly she said it with old woman and told me I had to keep my word. I swear I saw her laughing out of the corner of my eye. So what happened? That afternoon I married her. Whenever I pictured my future wedding, I always envisioned a girl as beautiful as me. Well, not as beautiful, but maybe close. I never thought I would end up with an old hag as my partner. After the wedding, I ignored her. This woman was like 50 years older than me. Do you think I'm going to talk to this woman or even care about her? Short answer, no. She realized I wasn't happy and asked me what was wrong, so I told her every single complaint I had with this arrangement. And she told me that she could make herself beautiful or loyal and I had to pick. I was already on thin ice with the last incident that got me in this mess, so I did the noble thing and asked her to pick. Thankfully, she chose both to satisfy me. I'll admit, I was worried she would choose loyalty over beauty because some people think that what's on the inside is more important than what's on the outside. But what's the point of having a good personality when you don't have the proper face to flaunt it with? In the end, I got a good wife and my knightly status back. Honestly, I think I really learned my lesson. I would treat all women as objects who are forced to listen to me and treat my priorities before theirs.
It has been months. Where is he already? Of course, I don't really expect him to find the correct answer to my question, or really any answer at all. For what I'm really testing in is his honesty. I will just be happy if he comes to me and admits that he doesn't know and might not ever know what women truly want. But from now on, he will try to treat them with more respect and finally be a more chivalrous knight. Only after completing this quest will he ever be a true knight. The night has arrived. I must get ready to face the court. Finally, you are back. I was about to send someone to come find you. I was worried something bad had happened.
Yes, I am back, and I have the answer to your question. I figured it out all on my own. Don't believe anything if someone tells you otherwise.
Well then, if you are so sure that you know the correct answer, tell the court, brave knight. Tell us what you have learned.
I have searched long and hard for the answer to your question. This has been a tough search to find out what women truly want. My hardest quest yet. But what I have learned is this. Any woman's greatest desire is sovereignty. They desire power over the ones they love, to have mastery, to be above. This is their greatest desire.
Thank you for sharing. This was not the answer I was expecting, but we shall see if it is good enough for all the ladies here. What is going on? Who is this woman? Tell me, what is the meaning of this?
Hello, my queen. I've come here to say that I am the one who told the knight what women want. He did not come up with this himself.
This is a big lie. Do not trust this old woman.
What is going on? Remember, if you lied to me, I do have the power to do whatever I want to you, whether that be killing you or sending you into exile.
Do not kill him for this. Him and I have a deal. All I ask is for the favor that I asked to be completed.
Fine. Do what you must with this lying knight. I am very disappointed, but I'm also glad to put his fate into the hands of another woman. Because of this, I will not intervene.
I understand. I will do what I must, but what is the favor?
The favor that I ask is for you to marry me. Remember, if you refuse, there's a queen here to chop your head off.
Fine. I will take you as my wife if I must.
This should be good. Long ago, in a land called Canterbury, I was an old, frail, ugly woman unaware of my adventures yet to come. One day, just like any other, a man appeared out of the dark. He approached me and asked me a very strange question. He wanted to know what it was that a woman most desires. Of course I know what a woman most desires, but I wasn't just going to give him that answer without receiving a favor in return. So I took the man to court. He was asked by the queen what it was that a woman most desired, and he believed it was sovereignty, to have the power over our husbands and loved ones. Not a maiden in the court, including myself, disagreed, so we decided he was worthy of his life after all. Although I was deemed ugly and frail, I had been the one to teach the man how to save his life. So remember that favor he owed me? I cashed it in and told him to be my husband. To be truthful, I was quite offended at his first response. He practically begged me to spare him. It seemed as if no matter what I did for him, he would think it was a disgrace to be my love since my appearance was displeasing to him. My knight did not have much of a choice. He did not want a large public wedding, so the following morning we got married in private. I felt like we were hiding. I was trying to be happy, but even after being married, my new husband was so distant. He could barely even look at me. He continued to tell me I was old, foul, decrepit, and ugly, and now that made me angry. This man thought so little of me but still allowed me to spare him death. My appearance may be old and frail, but I am a strong woman with many talents and abilities. But you all must be wondering, if I was so old and ugly, how do I look so amazing now? Well, I had a secret, and this is when I shared it with him. I told him if only he would love me, be kinder, I could amend myself for him. I provided him with an ultimatum, and told him I either live out the rest of my life with him as an ugly old woman, but a loyal wife, or, although I may displease him, I will be beautiful and young. He thought I was crazy, but after a while, I heard a surprising answer. He told me I should choose. He was honored that the decision was his, but he gave it back to me. After all, it is the rest of my life. I was shocked. He had given me the mastery. I felt amazing. I felt like he finally cared, which made me happy. I only had one chance to use this gift, so I was trying to wait for the right time and the right person. Now, don't get me wrong. I liked being an old lady. People left me alone and I could do anything. But I've always wanted to relive my younger days. So I told him we shall no longer fight, and I choose both. I will live out the rest of my days as a young and fair maiden and a loyal wife. Although we had our differences, which I am partially still mad about. He was a good man. At first I wasn't so sure, but I was a peasant marrying him, so it would be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity anyways. But once he gave me the mastery and really began to listen, I could tell he was good at heart. So the two of us spent the rest of our lives beautiful and loyal together.
Oh, I can't believe this happened. I'm gonna get expelled by a lady.
I have finally decided your punishment. I see how often you make derogatory comments about women, so let's change that into a positive force. You are to interview 3 different girls in the school, all of different grades, and see how they want to be seen and treated by society.
Fine. Can I at least have someone to help me?
Yes, but only if you have someone in mind.
Thanks for helping me with this. This punishment is just the worst.
So, what do you need help with?
I need to set up some interviews with 3 different girls in our school in different grades.
Why?
Because I need to see how women want to be treated by society, because I'm offensive, apparently.
Apparently? Oh, geez, this is gonna be fun. Let's just get started. Hey, Selena, we're just gonna ask you some questions about feminism.
Hi, I'm Arthur. Hold on, give me a sec. How does society see you versus how you want to be seen?
Wow, that's a really deep question. Didn't expect that coming out of your mouth.
Whatever, just answer the question.
Well, first off, when women get angry or stand up for themselves, it's seen as aggressive. But when men do, it's just their nature, and it's not their fault. I want to be able to express my emotions without having a label being put on me.
Cool, I guess. Now beat it, dork.
So rude. Jeez, and I thought you were being nice for once. Next up is Gigi.
Hey, I'm Arthur. We're gonna ask you some questions about feminist stuff. Okay. So what's your take on, like, chivalry and gentlemen in general?
Don't get me started. When guys are polite, it's considered special, but girls are expected to be polite.
That's not true. You girls have to control everything. That's why us men have to step in.
You are hopeless. What is wrong with you? You just have to get through 3 interviews. But no, you have to be so rude all the time.
Whatever. Can we just get through the interviews?
Fine. Taylor, you're next.
Hi, is everything... Oh, it's you? Do I have to do this?
Taylor, it's one interview, please.
Okay, fine, just for you. What's the question?
How do you think women are treated in positions of power?
Well, it's hard for women. For a long time, they were expected to stay home raising children. Women can work hard and earn money just as well as men can, yet there are still struggles for them in society.
Okay, thanks, Taylor.
I'm just glad I could teach you something without you interrupting.
Here are the interview notes. Am I free to go?
Yes, but only if you answer one question.
What?
How do you think that you and society could uplift or respect women?
Well, from what I heard is that girls want and deserve to be treated better more fairly by society, and I should change my behaviors to help with that. So yeah, that's my take on it.
Very good. I see you have improved.
Yeah, I hope I can improve more.
Very good. Have a good day.
Glad to see you've improved.
Friends?
Friends.